Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to go over the stock market expected moves. We got Mara up here on screen, but we are going to talk about has the crash started? Something I've been talking about since November, right? Or September. I don't know. Anyway, it's been a while. Told you guys there was going to be a crash next year, started bringing it up. And then, every time these bright red candles show up, someone's asking, hey, is this the crash? Steve's jumping in the chat already. He says, I think the market could hinge on NVIDIA's earnings on Wednesday. If they kill it, then maybe the markets hang on a little bit longer. If they misstep, look out below. I think certainly that's going to be a lot of the AI chatter is going to be driven on that. There is one thing I do want to point out because that's something we do want to keep an eye on when we do get to the S&P. I'm going to go in the normal order. We'll start from the top. The dollar, let's just break it all down. The dollar, US dollar, Japanese yen, Bitcoin, the S&P, the NASDAQ, Grandpa Dow, and the Russell. And then we'll do a little few tickers. I am live on everything right now, so TikTok's getting a little bit of love too. I do see RKLB called out. Let me just break that one down real quick before I forget. Rocket Lab. Who get wrecked? Been a while since I've broken this one down. Now it tried to actually hold at this zone. You might get a bounce right here. Honestly, if I'm going to try to catch the knife on this right now, I would go long, but my stop would be 21.85. If I'm just waiting to go short, I'd wait for a bounce up into that blue zone and then sent it. The hackers aren't helping Bitcoin either. Yeah, I heard a little bit about that, but not too fully versed on that whole situation. Kick it off with the dollar. Hi, Don. In for a warm week. It is going to finally be, it's like 60 degrees today. Yeah, which is amazing because last week it was -7. Now, as of the open, the dollar sold off a little bit. I'm looking for a bounce right here on this weekly zone. I am long the dollar. I'm gonna have to go long the Japanese yen. I'm gonna go long at this zone right here, but I'm also I am long this right now, so I need that to turn around and go. Now I know there was an Ethereum hack. I guess someone actually had the keys. I don't know. I'm gonna butcher it. I know that probably wasn't good news. But looking at Bitcoin on the daily, I don't care what's going on. I just need you guys to be paying attention to this right here. Now, if you're on TikTok, luckily that's all you can see. But look at this. Here's this yellow zone that I drew out a long time ago, and we are hanging out. And I mean, like, yeah, coincidentally, we open and close right here. We have wicks that up and down. We are just within a few bucks of this zone, and we've done nothing. And I kind of think we're waiting for a signal as far as Bitcoin goes. Do we go all in? Is it ready for the next run up? Or if the markets are crashing, do we sell this too? Do we throw it all out, throw the baby out with the bathwater? I'm not really good at the sayings, but, is that what's next? Right now it trades 24 hours, but we've kind of done nothing. This was your Friday candle with everything selling off. Really hanging out. Now we went horizontal, but then we just pinned it right there in the middle. Oh, weird. Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out. TikTok decided to do some new stuff, so I'm trying to figure out what is going on there. Oh well. Yeah, the chat's weird. All right. Yeah, true reminder to everybody on TikTok, I am live on YouTube where you can rewind things. We're about to be higher than a UFO avoiding government radar. I assume you're talking about Bitcoin. With the sell-off on Friday, what happened to Pep? Give me 1 second. Are you talking about Pepsi or? Okay, we are going to get into this right now because we're going to go into the S&P right here. Now the S&P's red, and it just went. I mean, just blazed a trail from this zone. Skip that. Did we even have a little bit of a hang up there? Yeah. So I know some people on TikTok think these boxes don't mean anything, but the only green candle we happen to have was right there. Quick little hiccup, like, hey, real quick, let's pay homage to Don that he did draw that yellow box. Cool story. And then we just send it all the way down here. As of the open right now, we are up. This is, I think, a dead cat bounce. And I have to say, I'm gonna go short. So if you're following my account, if you're part of the community, right, you're on Patreon or however you're in there. If you're not, it's always the top pin comment down below. If you're in that tomorrow, you will get the notification. I am buying puts. Now I'm buying puts for August on the S&P. But I wanted to point this out. So let's get all these zones out of the way. Do you see anything here with the volume here at the bottom of the screen? Now these were those Sundays that were just bright red right there at the open, just absolute sending it and just panic, I guess. Now we did buy it up, but pretty meaningful volume. And if we look right here, one of the worst days, but I think that actually was the worst day in 2025. But the volume just kind of hanging out with everything else. I don't usually watch volume. It just happened to be up. So the one thing I noticed here was this sell-off. It actually wasn't a whole bunch of sellers. It was just a lack of buyers, which tells me the buy the dip crowd, they're not coming out. Which is my signal. We had, here up on screen, we had this sell off. That was a Sunday open. We had this next week, had that Sunday open. Just absolute panic red days. And we kind of recovered. And like I even talked about the stream before, like, hey, we're going to tag that box of all-time highs. We're not just going to just sell off into oblivion without that. And we did. We checked that box, and then we got this sell off right here. So as of now, I'm going to have to go short because I just don't know how much time we have left. I do agree with NVIDIA. It's a lot of eyes are going to be on NVIDIA this week, just given its weight in the market. A lot of talk about AI, and let's see where that leads. We'll pull up the calendar right here real quick. Monday, nothing. Tuesday, a couple of Fed speakers, nothing big there. I doubt anyone makes a deal about that. New home sales will come out on Wednesday. Not too much of a market mover, but might give you some hints. Real estate sales are down a lot. That's a lot of, you want to talk about stimulus or money in the economy. We're missing out on a lot just with that. Not something that usually moves the markets, but I'm curious if that's going to be an excuse. Now, Thursday, we have the jobless claims, durable goods, growth rate, GDP growth rate. And then Friday, we have PCE. So we have core PCE. So we got personal income, PCE price action. So Friday we got our PMI. So we got our letters this week. So Friday we'll have our action, and then Wednesday we'll have NVIDIA, an absolute tech giant's earnings. So jumping back into the S&P, no surprise that we bounced here. Every bit of this I'm just going to use as an entry to go short. Good broker for US. Depends on your requirements. I trade with TradeStation. The growth counts on Robinhood. I do like Robinhood and E-Trade because they have a debit card attached directly to it. I have my reasons for that. If you don't have a lot of money, but you don't like the idea of a savings account, but you like the idea of being invested, something in the S&P that actually grows, right? But you still want access to your money. I do like Robinhood and E-Trade for that debit card situation. As far as the expected moves, they are accurate. We do have it up. SPY has a huge move. So that's right back here to these lows. That's where the expected moves lands us. Is futures right down here. Right down there, or, almost all-time highs. A complete miraculous recovery, or we're rocking lower. Now, I will say this, if you've been following me for any amount of time, you guys know how many. So every time I talk about a crash, right? I know I've said this a bunch. I'm just 3 for 3. If I talk about a crash, it's not for fear mongering. This will just be the fourth one. I talk about it well in advance. And then we always talk about right as it gets close, you have just these lightning striking red candles. And I always tell you, when that's followed by another red candle, when the dip buy crowd doesn't show up, that's when it's bad news bears. And I specifically said this the day before the Rona crash. The next day was red. That was the absolute peak. So that's what I'm watching for right now. Fingers crossed the buy the dip crowd shows up, and we do check all-time highs. I would like to probably, I already sold, so I already let go of some of my Tesla and Meta position in my investment account. And I think I do want to let go a little bit more on that, as a matter of fact. And I did that by selling calls. So I'll sell some closer to the money calls. And then as the stock rises, it'll get sold, but I'll get paid to sell. So I am going to do that. I'm going to get pretty aggressive on the calls for this week, the sold calls, just to let some of my stuff go. So I do hope the buy the dip crowd does show up. Maybe Nvidia just kind of gives us one more green opportunity to let go of stuff. I want to lighten the bags up a little bit this time. But if tomorrow's red, I just think we just kick the dominoes over, So you got to be careful in these crashes. There are rip your face off rallies. I mean, you might think you're going short, and they're gonna just, I don't know how to say it, just bend you over. You're in for a rough time. So be selective. A lot of the bears make it sound like it's the easiest money you've ever made in your life, and it is and isn't. Because emotion is involved, it's usually some fast money. If you're in the right direction, yeah, it'll send it. But just be careful if you're in this, whether you're going to sit out or, go actively go short, which is, that's what I'll be doing. But just looking at it from the bird's eye view, just overall, the trend still up. Technically, right now, this is just a normal pullback. Granted, worst day in 2025, but look at this overall. That's nothing. The bulls, if you bought down here or anywhere else, you're not even feeling it. That was nothing. That was if I technically look at my P&L on the day, it's red. No one's going crazy about that. Looking at the NASDAQ, another coincidence, just dropped right down to that yellow zone. That's where it did bounce. Again, could be a lower high. I just think a high or low. I think we're going to put in a lower high. What this red line is right here, this is something I was talking about in my group. I feel bad. I feel like it's been forever since I've been live on TikTok. Sorry. New software, new computer. Sorry about that. But anyway, we were jumping up, selling off. Hit up there again, sell off. And I said this will likely end up being a zone later, from here to here. But it looked like algos or something was selling. Something was turning on right here at this level because we hit it again. And there we go. And I was kind of curious, who's getting out? What position? I always use Goldman Sachs as the example. Goldman Sachs is a market maker largely, so they're non-directional, right? They're what is it? Delta neutral. But everybody knows big bank, right? So just to paint that picture, it's like Goldman Sachs has to sell 1 million contracts, and their algos just say, "Hey, turn it on." Now, if they hit market sell on that, this would look like the first minute candle would look like this. This would be a 30-second candle. So the bigger banks, they can't hit market sell, so they have algos to get them in and out of positions. So as it turns on, like they're just trying to hug the VWAP or do better than the VWAP, and they're trying to sell it. So that's what it looked like to me overall, was like an algo was turned on up here, and then overall in this area right here, sell it. We don't want to panic the markets. Let the dip buy crowd show up, and we'll linger them along, sell off another chunk, and then they're just letting go of the rest. So definitely keep an eye out there, which is why if tomorrow's red, I'm buying puts tomorrow. I'm going to buy August puts, more than likely SPY. Just wait for the alert. It might be QQQ. I am going to buy them. I'm hoping tomorrow's green, so I can either spend the same amount and bump my strike up. But if it's red, I'm still doing it, because if it's red, then we're already late. Like that train's moving, you're jumping on right before the door closes. Because at that point, nothing brings on sellers quite like a red candle does, and you just might venture into the panic mode, and we let things go. We have tariffs coming up. I think we're going to quit pricing in just miracles. So the first sell-off will be like, hey, this is what's coming up, and then you actually feel it. It's kind of like eating something spicy. It's spicy, but it takes a minute for the heat to kick in, and then that's when you'll get real selling. I do want to. So this guy brought VIX moved up this time. A little bit of a VIX move right to that yellow line. Now, I drew this yellow line there a long time ago. Now, for everyone that watches the VIX, it is not the inverse of the S&P. I know a lot of people on YouTube like to pretend it is. It's just the fear gauge, right? So I look at it as a light switch, and guys, been trading for 13 years now. The next candle is always going to be green or red, right? Now, when it's above this line, it's a big green or red. When it's below this line, medium to small. We kind of carry on as normal. So I am watching that to see if there's a spike, because that tells me this is not a cheap contract. Your kids on Wall Street Bets and Robinhood are not buying the VIX contracts. They're not cheap. So when hedge funds and everything are buying up volatility, that can sometimes be a a heads up to what's coming up. All right, we talked about going short. This one, man. So anybody that went short this, congrats, all the way down to that zone and bounced. Remember, white zones are kind of intraday zones. You would expect the next lower high to come out of there. Honestly, I would have tightened up stops, and then I'm just looking to reload. If this could actually bump up to one of these white zones, that's where I would go. I would wait for it to, because what it's going to do when it jumps up and hits these zones, or in theory, that's what you're looking for. Bull flag or reversal. They will look the same. It just depends on what echo chamber you're sitting in. The bulls will call it a bull flag. The bears will call it a lower high. I would wait for that to set up, and then I would probably go short. If you're on TikTok, give me a huge solid and share it, and then hit the heart. If you're on YouTube, don't be silly. Make sure you're subscribed, and then hit the thumbs up button for me. Man, Grandpa Dow could send it this week. The Russell, we talked about going short. The Russell, we're hanging up right here. I would expect a full move down to here, and then breaking that even further. Let's talk about NVIDIA real quick. Look at these expected moves. The expected move right there. I move it just outside that zone because it's annoying to click the line. We got this zone, the one, we'll call it 148 to the 120. So 150 to 120 is where NVIDIA is going. We got about $20 move. We're sitting about just up north of 130. What I expect to happen is we might even tag one of these zones and then close and right here at these. We've seen that time and time again. When it does come to earnings, guys, please, and everyone's going to ask this. It's going to happen a million times. Should you go? There's just it's an earnings announcement. That's all it is. It's a binary event. They're going to make an announcement. It's going to go up or it's going to go down. Sometimes it does it a lot. Sometimes it moves a lot and then closes at nothing and just burns every options contract out there. No one has any edge to it, really. And I give my opinion. I give my best guess. But I mean, you and I are sitting at the same roulette table, and you're just saying, "Hey, I'm on number 13." And I'm over here like, "Well, I picked number 27." That's all we're doing. We're going to see where it lands, right? There's different ball weights. There's different wheel speeds. Who's got the attitude tonight? Like when you go to the casino, there's all those variables at the roulette table, and earnings is nothing different. So I don't know what I would do in this one. A lot of times, not that I have a good track record with earnings. Again, doesn't mean anything. There's just sometimes you're like, man, this could just be a theta burning event, and the contracts just the price might fluctuate, but it just kind of goes nowhere. Everyone loses. If you were long calls or puts, you got smoked. And then there's times like this thing is gonna move. So yeah, you do want to buy calls and puts, but did it move enough? Some people like to buy both. This particular one, I would say nothing is off the table for this. Because maybe NVIDIA announces some halfway decent earnings. Now everyone's expecting greatness out of NVIDIA. So they come out and say like, we did all right. Kind of did what we expected. Maybe the market sentiment just isn't there. Like, hey, we needed you to come out and say we are the knight in shining armor. There's not going to be a recession because we have robots fixing that right now. So they come out and say something good, we could still sell off, as the market could throw a fit. So I know probably all hands on deck. I'd be very careful. What do I think of the trade desk? TTD. Honestly, my stop would have to be right here, 69.45. Do you think NVIDIA will affect SMCI this week? I bet NVIDIA will affect every chip and probably AI stock. It will be a sector move. We get 2 days in a row like Friday. That's when people start to panic. Then it really gets moving. Yeah. And that's what I'm saying now. Like, hey, let's like we always do in the streams. Let's talk about tomorrow and what to expect. Yeah, we might get rock and rolling to the downside if we had another Friday tomorrow. What should we be watching for big moves this week? Honestly, the overall markets. And to bring it back, here's another thing, just kind of bring back what I was telling you guys. As far as the market selling off and the crash might be here, pull up any of the popular dividend tickers. This is what you call a rotation into safety. So they're decreasing their exposure and buying something else. So they're going to ride this storm out somewhere else. They put their money in this cabin, so everyone's buying this. It's a popular dividend ticker. They're going to rock this year out. They're going to just collect that dividend every quarter. What is it? MO, Ulterior Group. That one's up. Let's check out Coke. Coke's up. What's another popular one? I don't think Nike's that popular. What XOM do? XOM is a pretty decent one. Still a decent bounce, but sold off Friday. A lot of the PG. Thank you for that. As the market sold off, dividend tickers popped up. With it, Pepsi just didn't come out and say, "Hey, we did a blindfold test and people like Pepsi better." No, that was a rotation into that. Let's check out Johnson & Johnson. Also up, which tells me right now, and someone wanted me to break this down too. Let's break down gold. We already bought the shiny stuff. Now we're rotating into the people that were buying gold. It might continue up. A lot of times gold has its own supply and demand, but maybe they're just a flight to safety into the shiny stuff. I feel like if you were going to buy gold for that reason, you probably already are. You're already in it. I will check TEM, and we got to check Hershey's. But checking out gold, checking out everything else. If you're on TikTok, make sure you jump over. I don't usually ask you guys to leave the platform, but jump over to Don Franz Show on YouTube and watch Friday's video talking about a crash, because we specifically talked about all this before it actually happened. But it kind of just didn't make sense why gold's just rushing to all-time highs. There's a lot of panic things that were getting money put in, as it looked like some bigger people were getting out of the markets. Technically, the market was checking the all-time high boxes, but it's not happening. Trying to refill Fort Knox. AI. If I was going to go long AI, 26.85 would be my stop loss. Let's check out Hershey's and TEM. Hershey's sending it. Kind of had a little bit of a hang up at that zone. Then we just went zone to zone. I need to fill these in, because every time I have a chart with no yellow boxes, someone's asking, like, what do those mean? Same thing they always mean. Here we go. Let's do it again. What a recovery. Diabetes is back on the table. Just kidding. What was it? TEM? Check that out. Tempest AI. Oh, yeah, I knew I recognized that one. Tempest AI. Get wrecked. I would be careful with this one. I actually really like this one a lot. And so I bought it, Pelosi bought it, I bought it, and then they announced an app that was coming out, and then it just absolutely sent it. And then I did close my position once it got up here. And I think right now we're on a momentum wave, and it's probably going to continue to come down. Hopefully it bounces for the people that are still in it. If this were to come back down to 50, 40, here's the thing, guys. If I'm talking about a level like, hey, here's where I'm going to buy. Like if Tempest AI hits 50, I'd probably buy it right now. If the market's melting down, we're in melt mode. I'm in no rush to buy anything. Let the sellers do their thing. Kick back. Watch the world burn for a little bit, just get nice and toasty off of it, and then buy things later. There's no rush to buy the dip when it's just an absolute landslide. Just hang tight. There's nothing you need to do. You want to make the most money you've ever made in your life? Let the sellers do their thing. They are literally saying, hold tight. We're bringing this thing down. You want to dip buy? All you need to do is nothing. And then wait. Timing the bottom will be, hard. You probably won't be able to do it. But there's signs, right? Things level out. They don't just turn on a dime and then like Tempest AI. It's not going to just go to 50 and then gap to 80. You're going to have time. And so what if you just wait? Like, hey, maybe that's not the bottom. So instead of buying it at 52, you bought it at 56. Who cares? Those couple bucks won't mean anything. Because what if you don't buy at 52 the next day? It just goes zone to zone, and now it's at 40. How many more shares can you get? facts averaging slowly. Yeah, I'll let things really sell off. When they slow down, then I'll start chipping in. I always buy things when on sale, sticks included. I do think this is again, sorry, I do think this is a momentum cycle that's probably just cooling off now. Stocks included, not sticks. Okay. The bottom is a process, not an event. You'll have lots of time. Yeah, exactly. Everyone's saying crash this year, so it probably won't happen. Listen, I actually do struggle with that, and that would suck because this would be the first time that I'm wrong. Um, and I mean that. And I want a perfect track record. I don't want to be wrong. And I'm kind of hoping that everybody talking about a crash is just the broken clock is right twice a day, you know. But that being said, there is a reason why I'm not just closing my whole account now. Somebody that I do work with did. They sold it all, and they're just doing cash. They're doing is option selling. But you know, if I'm wrong, I made a bunch of money. I locked it in, you know, and I'll get back in later. I don't mind the risk right now for lightening it up a little bit. You know, doesn't bother me on this. Um, but yeah, I wouldn't go too crazy because right now, delta wise, if you can just look at your deltas, guys, remember, shares are hard deltas, options are soft deltas. So when I tell you like, hey, I'm long deltas, overall, I am long. So the market's green, my portfolio's up. Market's red, it's down. It's plain and simple. You know, so when I do buy puts, it's not a neutral delta event. I'm not trying to just go hard. I'm going to buy puts. Hopefully, I'm going to make some money because there's things I'm just going to ride down and back up, assuming I'm correct. But on the ride down, I'll lock in some profits on the puts, so I can buy the dip that much more later. Trump and Elon are going to Fort Knox to count some bars. uh, Dixon Mayes, oh my, Dixon M. Happy birthday to his little brother, Crypto Nate. Hope your little brother has a awesome birthday. Fubo puts. Now we haven't broken down Fubo in a while. Look at these little yellow dotted lines. That's a zone I broke down years ago. Look, we bounced at it, rejected. Fubo puts. Why is this even up? Oh, I get it. Kryptonite did give me. I had a feeling it was that, but I was like, ah. So that's what I get for trying to be sweet. Any good quantum stocks to look out for? In 15 years, I will go over good quantum stocks. Right now, no. Won a lawsuit. Okay. To stream their service. Kind of looks like it's on just as hollow ground as the S&P. A lot of people are expecting a crash. Well, there's also a reason for that, though. There's a lot of writing on the wall that says things aren't good. You know, like I just said, we're on hollow ground. It's not even eggshells anymore. We're just waiting for a collapse. All right. Buffet holding 344 billion in cash. He's no fool. He listens to Don. That's funny. All right. On that note, guys, I do have to get to my group. It is Zoom. We do Zoom on Sunday and Thursday just so I can see your faces. I like to watch you guys cry. Just kidding. Let's see the smiles. So anyway, if you guys ever want to check that out, that's always a top pin link in the description down below. TikTok again. If you're just tuning in, it's on YouTube. You can rewind. Thursday, I'm going to start going live to do the futures on Thursdays, but they are going to be members only stream on YouTube. So you won't be able to comment on it. You'll be able to see it. If your name is green, you are a YouTube member, you can. I do that just because I was going to do just pre-recorded stuff and send it. It's faster for me if I do that. But also, if I'm reading the chat, I get distracted. It's very ADD, and I'm trying to get half of it's going to be live streams, half of it's going to be to the point videos. So live streams only on Sunday from now. No, you'll still see the live stream Sunday and Thursday. You can come in here and chat on Sunday, and if you're a YouTube member, you'll just see it. You won't be able to jump in the chat. That's all. So yeah, everyone will still get to see it. But so I don't have to make the video and then post it. I can just go live while I make it because it's not a script or anything. There's nothing to pretend to know. A sad face. I mean, I can make it a members only stream, and then they just wouldn't see it at all. It would just be like watching it as a recording. You just can't chat live. You can still comment and everything else. But anyway, if you want, check it all out. I will see you guys then. Have a good one.